Hello class and welcome to VR Pre-Algebra. So this is me, Miss Jeffries, but in virtual reality. So I'll let you guys look around our virtual classroom here, so kind of set in the desert. And we are going to work through some problems for you today from decimals to fractions and fractions to decimals. So we've already used this as a bell ringer before, but we wanted to do some extra problems today before we talk about those repeating decimals. All right, so decimals to fractions. The first problem here says 0.8. And so in order to turn that into a fraction, we have to know what place that 8 is. So remember, we've talked, if it's one number past the decimal, that is the tenths place. Because when we think of it in terms of money, the tenths place is for dimes, and you need 10 dimes to make $1. So that's how we remember that. So 0.8 would turn into, again, that is the tenths place. So that would be 8 divided by 10. But we want these fractions in the simplest form. 8 and 10 are both even numbers, so we could easily divide those by, good, 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 10 divided by 2, 5. That's it, now we're done. So this is just a quick, easy review over decimals to fractions. Number 2. 0.75. Now again, we always want to think in terms of money, right? So 75 cents of $1, okay? How many quarters are in $1? 4. So 75 cents would be how many quarters? 3. So when we're making this into a fraction, let's go step by step. 7/5, the 5 is in the hundredths place, so that would be 75 over 100. And then if we divide both of those numbers by 25 cents or by 25, you would get 3 over 4, just as you thought before, as we said 3/4 out of $1. So this would simplify to 3/4. All right, this one's going to take us a little bit more math. So we have 0.375. The 5 is in what place? Good, thousandths place. The 3 is the tenths place, 7 is in the hundredths place, and then that 5 is in the thousandths place. So we could easily put this over 1,000. Okay, so 375 divided by 1,000. It's hard to know by heart what to divide that by to simplify. So if it ends in a 5 or a 0, you know you can divide the top and the bottom by 5. But in this case, it's bigger than that. So I'm going to give you a second to think, what number could you divide those by to get a simpler fraction? And most students would say 25. Again, and when we're thinking in terms of money, 25 should be able to go into 375 and 1,000. So I'm going to give you a hint here. If you divide by 125, this will easily simplify for you. All right, so 375 over 1,000 becomes, so good, that should become 3 over 8. And again, you can get there by dividing the top and bottom by 25, and then you would have to divide by 5 again. Or if you just divide both of those numbers by 125, you will get 3 over 8. All right, so let's move on to fractions to decimals. Fractions to decimals, we have 2 over 5 as our first problem. So remember, fractions are a division problem. So the top number 2 goes inside our division bracket, and the 5 goes outside. Now, sometimes we make a mistake and we switch those numbers. So remember to think 2 divided by 5 is going to be less than 1. So when you divide the outside number into the inside number, it should be a 0 in this case, right? The number 2 would have to be bigger than 5 for this to be a whole number. So we know that our first digit is 0. So if you switch the 2 and the 5, just catch your mistake right away, knowing when you write 2 goes into 5, you've written those the wrong way. Okay, so 5 does not go into 2, like we said. So we're going to write a 0. Okay, so then we need a decimal. What numbers can we add on past the decimal for 2 and not change the number at all? Zeros. Okay, so let's add 1 0 here. So 5 doesn't go into 2, but look at this. It does go into 20. How many times? 4. Okay, so how we just double check ourselves, 4 times 5 is 20, and we subtract it, and we should always end with 0. Okay, so 2 divided by 5 becomes 0.4 as a decimal. And next we have 5 divided by 8. Again, which number should go inside? The numerator, 5. Good. So 5 divided by 8. 8 does not go into 5. Put that 0 and those decimals there. What numbers can we add on to 5 so that we can figure out what decimal this is? Zeros. Okay, so 8 goes into 50. How many times? Good, 6. 6 times 8 is 48. Subtract it. So now we're left with 2. We have to keep going. Again, a number we can add here is 0. Bring it down. 8 goes into 20. How many times? Good, just 2. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16, we have 4. All right, we need another 0. Bring it down. And now we're getting somewhere. 8 goes into 40. How many times? 5. All right. So 5 times 8 is the 40, and we are done with this one. Okay, our answer would be 0.625. All right, so our last one, let's change it up and write in red here. So our last one is 1 divided by 3. Some of you may already know this decimal. Awesome. But if not, let's work it out like we did. 1 on the inside. Numerator goes inside, denominator outside. 3 does not go into 1. Add those zeros. Okay, 3 goes into 10. How many times? 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Let's subtract it. And we're left with 1. So again, we add those zeros. But wait a minute. If we keep doing this and we multiply by 3 to get 9, this is going to keep going on and on and on, right? We're always going to have a remainder of 1. Then we're going to add the 0, and 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so what we do in this case is we add this repeating bar, okay? We can say 0.33 repeating, but the best way to say this is just 0.3 repeating. And that is how we turn a decimal into a fraction, and in this case, a fraction into a decimal, and in this case it's a repeating decimal. And that's what we're going to talk about this week, is what happens when you have a repeating decimal, turning it into a fraction, but also turning a fraction into a repeating decimal. All right, guys, good luck with your assignment today. Please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. See you next time.